Good morning and welcome to St. Luke's annual meeting. Thank you to Joe Stropple. Everyone's getting a bite to eat. We're going to have as soon as most people are sitting down and eating, we'll get started with the meeting. If you have any questions, feel free to text those questions either to the YouTube stream chat or to my cell phone. And if you don't have the chat capability, you can just call my cell phone. If you're paying attention to this meeting, you should have my cell phone. I'm not going to, share it with the entire YouTube community. Really good.
Hey, Brian.
Hello, Jen.
Well, I've got your girlfriend lined up.
I heard. Yeah, good.
This is recording, so just be careful. All right.
Yes, is Martha here?
She's gone to a birthday party, but I can.
Oh, okay. Would you take these for Martha?
Sorry, Linda, for even making you carry them. All right. Hello. Good afternoon. Still morning. Still afternoon. Still morning. She didn't want it. She wanted another one. The first order of business is for me to appoint a clerk for this meeting, and I appoint Bruce Trieber, who's graciously agreed to take the minutes. It's always important to remember that the extent of the minutes, according to our agenda, the only decision that we have to make today is to vote for our new vestry members. So technically, the minutes, if they're scantest, need only reflect that we went through the process, and by God's grace, we'll elect both Christine.
And there's a sign in here.
And the other thing that's required is that all that are present at the vestry meeting, when you get a chance, there's a sign-in list. And so at the end of this session, I'll grab one report, I'll grab a stack of the finance stuff, I'll grab the sign-in sheet and the minutes, staple them together, and file them away so we can do that again next year. Now, the most important thing to do is, of course, we pray for the food, but I would just like to offer up a prayer for the meeting itself. Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take counsel in our annual meeting for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And I invite Beth Wiesman to come up. Doug had to go to Florida today, but Beth is going to stand in and make a few remarks. And I'm going to eat.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. The report is in your booklet, so I'm certainly not going to read it to you. Doug has a way of eloquently putting our thoughts into words, so I appreciate so much that he was able to write this for both of us. I'm finding, though, as I read through it, for me, the most powerful part of it was way at the bottom. There were just two little lines. All this good work is only made possible through the gifts of time, talent, and treasure offered by every person who makes up the St. Luke's community. We are grateful for you all. To me, that's the most powerful part of all of this, because it acknowledges everyone who is involved in every way of our church life, every day, every week, every month, every season. There's a time when people just step up, they come out of the woodwork, seemingly, to be able to bring things together like today. So I am so grateful as one of our wardens to be in a community where people literally step up and offer wonderful, wonderful gifts every day, every week, every month, and every season. Thank you so very much, and enjoy your meal, and have a great day.
Any remarks or questions for our wardens? Fantastic. Matt, Leone?
Yeah.
Would you mind, as you swallow, to just come up and say a few words, just so that people, it's important for folks to see you all. We know that the reports are written, so you don't have to read it. Yeah. You all certainly know Matt Leone, our Organist and choir director.
I know I'm usually hidden behind the console back there, but it's real quick remarks. It's been a real pleasure to be the organist and choir director here. It's been so wonderful getting to know all of you, and also having such a fine roster of singers who are very supportive and very helpful just in teaching me some of the nuances of this church and some of the favorite hymns, some of the wonderful little things about how we do things. It's a fine instrument, it's a wonderful instrument to play, and a really fantastic experience that I've enjoyed so far. And also, it has been a real pleasure introducing some of you to some of the music that I've known and learned over the years. It's a nice little two-way street where I'm starting to adapt to the musical life here, because when in Rome, and also getting to share some of my own music with you. As a music historian, musicologist, I have a huge amount of music of many different styles and eras, and part of my job, I think, as an organist is to let some of this music sound again. And this has been a really fine experience, and I'm so glad to be on board. Many thanks to Gerald Anders and Bruce Castellano for introducing me to this one. They have been an absolute bedrock of support for over 15 years of my life, and they are just wonderful human beings. So thanks to both of them, and thank all of you to all of you for helping me out and getting me into this community. It's been wonderful, and I'm looking forward to continuing on. Thank you.
All right, Matt, thank you. To that end, I just want to acknowledge again that we've developed a choral scholar program. Joe Stroppel's the first to enter into that program, and we look to find. We hope to find 3 other section leaders to complement him and to complement the volunteers that we do. It was really important for us to make sure that the choral scholar program was filled with college-age students, right? So that this, again, there's a two-way street happening here. It becomes a ministry of ours to invite people from outside the community to learn and sing here in this parish with us. And of course, it's a great boon for us as well. We are prepared to make one more repair to the organ. As you work on any project like this, things are uncovered. So we're in the process of making a repair, of which we're going to use some of the resources from the Drew Organ Fund, and that's so that's in the works for the next couple of months. I'd like if now, if Carl would just stand up for me, please. Carl Hansen is a member of our vestry. He's lived in Seacliff his entire life, I think.
No, not quite.
Almost.
42 years and then
That's great. So the reason I'm asking Carl to stand, as a member of the vestry, Carl is, in a sense, the liaison for our worship ministry. The church is, in a way, divided into 5 separate ministries. The worship ministry involves, acolytes, ushers, lectors, lens, lady Christian visitors, God willing. It includes church and the music and the choir. It involves the altar guild. So little things like, all of a sudden the stack is back on the altar. All these little things. Carl meets with me once a month. And I just want folks, you all, to recognize Carl as someone who's in charge of that ministry and helps me. I mean, he's, the director's prerogative is to make decisions about the liturgy. But it's great to have Carl to talk with about it and to serve as a liaison between the community and me in that regard. So thank you, Carl. It's also worth acknowledging Sean Conde, who's heading up our ushers, Beth Wiesman, who helps with acolytes, Ann DiPietro, who now is helping with lectors, and Lainey still in her work with the Altar Guild. And I think that's about it in terms of Sunday morning. That's it. We had a booming Easter and Christmas this year. We baptized 2 babies, and there were 2 weddings inside the church this year too, which are all very positive signs. We're certainly happy to have them. Is Pam here? Pam Weingart? Pam here. Linda's here, I know. Susan, on behalf of our Christian Ed, would you stand up? I want to make sure that people see our vestry members and know that Susan has been serving as the ministry team leader for Christian education. She served alongside Tricia Diamond. Tricia served for 3 years. Her term is ending this year, and she's stepping down. And we're hoping today to elect Christina Benda, who has told me she's a perfect attendance kind of person, but she has the flu at the moment, so she's not here. But I just want to give you the opportunity to share anything that you'd like to share, Susan.
Absolutely. Well, this year, in terms of Christian education, the Children's Chapel and Confirmation program have taken center stage. But and it's too bad that Pam isn't here, but there's a nice write-up about what's going on there and in those 2 places. We did join a group from Trinity Church for an Advent program, and there will be something that we will be doing in terms of the Easter season, probably with Trinity, but it's open to other churches as well. And I just want to say that movie night is no more as an official thing, but I am still myself personally very interested in movies, and if anybody wants to help me put together an event for the spring, which would involve a movie and discussion, I would love to do that. Just tell me if you're interested in that. Is there anything else I should mention? The plan for the spring is to organize the library and to make it a usable space again, and having literature that people can kind of check out. We are going to pack away the archives safely and store them for the near future. We'll have them, but they'll just be cleaned up, so we can use that space. Thanks.
Thank you. Shepherding ministry. You can read the report here. This is also a place Kelly Galligan, the capitalist, served on our vestry for 3 years in the shepherding ministry team. She formally stepped down in the middle of the year, let the vestry know. But we kept her on the roster because her term ends this today anyway. So we're grateful. I just have to see if anyone's calling to ask me a bunch of questions. So we're very grateful to have Karen Galvin, who also told me she's an advocate of perfect attendance, but she's going to the hospital to visit her grandbaby today. She was born just on the 26th, I think, just 2 days ago. So the other thing I want, there's one, pastoral care and shepherding are in here. I'm very grateful for Karen Lou's efforts to help produce like a welcome basket for newcomers to the church. I think it's a little step of hospitality. It's really fascinating and great for us. But I want to take the time to introduce Mary Ellen Peterson. Long way to stand up with you. Now, the reason I want Mary Ellen for weeks now, with the help of Mary and of course with the help of lots of folks, has taken over the coffee hour ministry, our hospitality ministry. Corky and Holly worked so diligently for years at this ministry, and we have, you don't realize how big of a gap is felt for something which you just take for granted often. We take for granted. So I just want to tell Mary Ellen, thank you so much for taking on, because I've been trying to get some attention on you a little bit, because it's no small task. It's a commitment like a choir. You're committing to almost every Sunday, to taking part in helping people. She's just coordinating a lot of things, but she's here behind the scenes making deals like this happen with the help of others, coordinating this ministry, which is so important to us for the sake of fellowship and companionship. So, Mary Ellen, thank you so much. Okay, sign up. There's a sheet. Mary Ellen has condensed some things about setting up. We're always happy to have people help with coffee hour.
There's always someone here to help out. Never be alone.
Otherwise, I hear about it.
Yeah. Carlson, gets the ripple gratitude. As always, thanks to Linda, Dorothy Holohan, Janet, the folks who have really built a core of pastoral care in our community. I just want to always remind folks, if you think there's someone in our community, I don't mean at St. Luke's, I just mean in the Seacliff or surrounds, who could use just some, what I've started to think of recently as unreasonable hospitality. There's no reason for us to reach out to someone who doesn't go to church here, but why not, they may need some help. Just reaching out and helping folks. The other thing is to remember that I know that this is a congregation filled with people who would help. So, to that end, reach out beyond your normal circles. Ask if people want to help. I know that there's a lot of willing hands here. So just want to pass that on. To that end, we arrive at stewardship, the fourth of five of our ministries. And I'm going to hand it over to Dan, who will spend the next hour and a half walking line through five of the budget. Dan, thank you.
You stole my opening line.
Sorry. We think alike.
Well, yeah, and to that end of thinking alike, Jesse mentioned earlier the increase in attendance. I Googled this morning church attendance, and the top three Google entries were losing their religion, why U.S. churches are on the decline, article from the Guardian. 10 reasons church attendance is declining, even for Christians, New York Times. And from Gallup, U.S. church attendance is still lower than pre-pandemic. So I don't think we should take for granted that we are healthy, and not just financially, but I think more broadly. So let's all be grateful for that. So a couple of comments. You've got all the financial information in the attachments. We ended the year with a surplus of $12,000. Looking just at revenue we collected in 23 versus expenses in 23. It's worth noting that we received a kind of one-time COVID-related grant of $11,000. So effectively, we were slightly above break-even if you were to take that $11,000 out of the picture, because that would be recurring. The three major sources of revenue, not surprising to everybody, that pledges represent 60% of revenue, so that continuing to pledge and then to back that up with the actual checks in the mail is kind of very important. Building use, it's worth noting, has increased from about 5% of revenue a few years ago to now close to 9%, or actually more like 8%. That's very meaningful, and I don't think it's just meaningful because of the financial impact, but it is positioning St. Luke's as very much at the center of the community in every sense of that word, and that's really a tribute to Jesse's outreach efforts that we see that happening. And also fundraising, we had an aggressive goal for 23. We exceeded that goal by 3,000. Christine Denousis is somewhere here. Christine, and Allison and the rest of that group really deserve a huge amount of thanks and credit for that. And as I have said often, it is hard to say no to Christine, and that's because she works hard, she gets it done, and she gets it done in a really great way. So hopefully I haven't stolen your lines.
No, that's okay. There's less to say.
Yeah. So that's kind of the picture for the P&L. I did want to point out, and thanks to Jesse and Nicole for having come up with, I think, a much clearer way to look at our assets and liabilities, because it's in the attachment, the first page of the attachment. If you look at what we have in the bank, in terms of cash, in whether it's checking or money market, we have about 132,000 in the bank. That's a nice cushion for the unexpected, and it's a tribute to what we've been able to do the last few years in terms of generating surpluses over that period. There's also a list of what are restricted or designated monies. You can look at that at your leisure. But I think the overall financial picture is quite positive. I think I'll end my report with a repeat of Janet Hertwig's words when she ended her tenure in this role. All is well with St. Luke's.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
I didn't get to hear you. So you were saying the building use went from 5% to what?
About it's in the, I think the specifics are in the report.
Okay,
I wanted to quote, I will quote to you, let's see, yeah. So it went 7.6% in 23, it was 5.8 in 21.
Great, thank you.
Dan, what was the source of the COVID relief money?
It was actually, I think, Nicole and Jesse having researched one of the pieces of legislation that passed had to do with employee retention, I believe.
So it was part of the pension.
And so we contracted with a consultant who did all the paperwork, and we frankly kind of forgot about it. And then lo and behold, the check for $11,000 and change showed up. Yeah.
Did we also collect on our grant from the Sacred Sites program?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's another 5,000.
Yeah.
Thanks to your good efforts, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Joe?
Is the option for donating stocks and bonds still available? Because this is a great year to do that. Being right now,
Yes.
things are on the upswing.
Right.
That's still available?
It is absolutely available, and I'm glad you're pointing it out. And I think it's also available are ways to handle your pledge in an electronic fashion rather than having to write that check every month.
Save you a lot of tax money.
Yeah.
And we also accept donor advised fund gifts.
Yes.
Right.
So just to follow up, Christine.
I don't want to be thinking that Dan and I are president of each other's fan club, but I just want to say that Dan puts a lot of time into this. As a vestry member, he's always got these reports ready for our meetings, and he's really done a great job, and I want to thank him for all the work he's done.
I'm gonna. Dan is among. He's just one of the 11 vestry members who has walked into a situation where understanding finance, balancing budgets, even the nature of a nonprofit is familiar to Dan by way of his career. But when you step into the Episcopal Church, you have a whole nother level of language, a way of understanding and operating And Dan is another one of those folks who has walked alongside me and Nicole in trying to understand what this means and the best way to do it in a way that, first and foremost, is teachable to the next folks. That's been very important for us, this idea that if we prepare for the next generation, we're taking care of ourselves right now. And this church has a long history and legacy of doing that. So Dan, I can't tell you how grateful I am. It's great to have you on board. I also, we can clap again. I'll ask as just a few notes. One, to be clear, as you're looking at the balance summary, it's divided into essentially cash and investment accounts. At the bottom, we have what's called the BP investment. That's Bethpage investment account. That account itself holds cash and securities, but that's the place that we have at St. Luke's. If someone wants to donate securities, holdings of any kind, you can share them there. Obviously there's implications for your own taxes, and we are able then, of course, to liquidate those holdings without paying taxes on them to help support the church. Gifts can be restricted or unrestricted in that regard. In other words, you can give and say, I want it specifically for this. I want the dividends from this securities to be specifically for that. Or you can give it and say, you guys put it where you need it. Gerald.
Could I say a big thank you to Janet for setting that up about 5 years ago? Otherwise, that was not a possibility.
Yeah, it's huge. Janet, thank you so much for doing this. Yeah, it's
to save taxes.
Yes. One thing to note in presenting this balance sheet as a summary like this, the right-hand side, what's restricted and designated, is a matter of internal accounting. When we report to the diocese, both for tithes and otherwise, we consider things as operating or non-operating. Restricted money is money that you give where the check memo says specifically for something. Any unrestricted monies that we have, a treasurer can move those unrestricted monies into, can designate it for something. And that way we can keep a certain amount of cash earmarked in case of emergency, in case of projects, etc., whatever it is that's on there. Whether it's Nancy Lyerly Fund, which is a scholarship fund for graduating seniors, it's important to know. Book of Remembrance, that's essentially a capital, a restricted or designated capital account that is used for repairs and ornament of the inside of the church. All right, so that is essentially a capital project fund, but specifically for the inside of the church. The capital improvement fund is for the rest of the buildings and grounds. So if you want to give a gift to the inside of the church, whether it's to help with a repair or some chalice vestments, all these sort of things, you make it in memory of someone. The gift itself, your name and the person who you've made the gift in the name of is recorded in our book of remembrance, and those monies are earmarked to help us make sure the inside of our church remains as vital as the people who are there. Stand for the creed. So buildings and grounds. I'm going to hand it over to Bruce. Before I do, I want to invite Bruce just to stand humbly before us. Bruce is another person who comes in a long line of very active Episcopalians. I think that slowly but surely we're morphing into that, and I use that term because it's a term that Bruce Trieber has often said, that what it means to be an Episcopalian. I mean, I can go through the history, the liturgy, all this. What it means to be an Episcopalian on the ground in a place is to be actively involved in maintaining the life of the church. To be, in other traditions, you sort of show up. Yeah, you may make gifts, but things are going to happen otherwise. The institutions are cared for in ways that are different than the Episcopal Church. So to be an Episcopalian means, in one way, to just be actively involved in serving the life of your parish and the parishioners there. And Dan is one of those, Bruce is one of those folks who has stepped on, has put learning about how things work at the top of his list, and that means that he gets to bring me along and the rest of our vestry and our congregation to do that too. So Bruce, thank you so much. I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Well, after 12 and a half years of Catholic school, it's nice to know that I've become an Episcopalian. But moving right along, on the buildings and grounds, first of all, a huge thank you and shout out to two people who have been an incredible, it's beyond help, they've been the pillars in terms of buildings and grounds, and that's Bruce Trieber and Jack Pierce.
Yeah.
They have a history, between the two of them, they have a history of every screw, bolt, nut, and what works, what doesn't, what to do about it, who to call. So it was a learning curve for me. I mean, after, you do a lot of renovation and a lot of building work on your own privately, but every building is different, of course. Every building has its little issues that are buried, especially the older they get, the more they're buried. And this is a small campus, but it's got a lot going on. And we are, slowly but surely following, Dan's financial guidelines as well. We are making really good progress this year on keeping things going. The sinkhole that befell the rectory in the south side was, of course, one of those things out of nowhere. And again, Jack stepped in, and there's a typo in that first bullet. It isn't the Johnson excavations, Johansson. Those folks, he showed up on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, the day after it happened. We were here, and he just took over. And by the time the day was over, it was done, it was fixed, the trees were back in place. And he just drove away and said, it's on us. And God bless him for it. And thank you, Jack, for making that connection. The front porch restoration was midway when I took in, and it was, again, Bruce, and thank you, Victoria, for so much of your help with the financials, and wading through the bureaucracy in Sequoia Village. Went smoothly, thank you again to Bruce. There were a lot of repairs, and then there were 3 new spaces created over what would technically be called dead space, and that was all for children. The nursery, the children's chapel, children's activity room. Under Jesse's guidance, we sort of formed a team and cleaned up, had painted, fixed, and now they are functional spaces that really work as opposed to storage spaces that had no purpose. That was a huge one, and that was done relatively inexpensively and very, very quickly. There are other things on the way. Looking forward, there's plenty to read, and you can go through it on your own. But looking forward, the building on the campus that needs the most work is the rectory, 1961 structure. The electricity has started, the work on the electricity has started, and sigh of relief because there were issues going on that were a little scary, but they've been rectified for the most part. We're now looking at a separate electrical service because the rectory service was connected to the church service, still is, with a cable. And our electrician just sort of said, this is not working, this is not good. So that is coming, that's our next 224 project. And then the plumbing. The rectory has been experiencing a year of fire and rain. It's been, electrical and drips coming through the electricity. So anyway, the next step forward is plumbing because there've been a series of patchworks done, but it's time for 2 of the bathrooms to be really gutted and fixed the way they should be. Leaks only cause more damage and destruction. So we're on that, and that's our next big move. And again, I want to thank everybody. It's a team effort, and a lot of support from the vestry, a lot of support from Dan and Bruce and Jack and others and Victoria and all the folks who put it together. So thank you so much.
Jesse, can I just thank Bruce, because every month at the meeting, there are reports like this, that we can see all the minutiae of all the things that he does all month, what he's working on, what's going on, keep us abreast of things. And it's just a lot of work to put it all together, but we, the vestry, appreciate so much having it in black and white so that we can see and appreciate all the things that are going on, vote on things, know things that are happening. So, as Christine said, if I could be the unofficial president of the Bruce Castellano support group here, thank you so much, Bruce.
Thanks.
Thank you.
serious, you want to read all about it, all of the reports, emails, bills, proposals are photocopied in a binder in the office. And they're all in various sections. So you're free to go in, look through them, but please put them back in the original.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Before we move, we're just going to touch lightly, briefly on a number of fundraising projects in here. I want to just backtrack a little bit to our pledge campaign for 2024. This morning, or maybe it was last night, we arrived at pledges exceeding last year's pledges. We're within 98% of our goal, which is fantastic. We have, I'm sort of I understand individually every sort of what's happening. You all should know that for the most part, almost exclusively, the information about that is held in my office, with my personal stuff. It's not public information, but what I can tell you is that in almost every case, it's someone who plans for outstanding previous pledgers. We have it's almost always someone who says, "Oh wait, I'm going to continue to give. I just haven't submitted a card." So we'll see these things come around. I do believe that we'll get to 100%. I will say also this is the first time, and I think there's a number of reasons why. The number of pledges may seem lower. Most of those ones that are lower are around the $100 to $200 pledge gift. But the reality is that issues of health, anxiety about the economy, despite the fact things look okay now, we're still on a roller coaster ride. We're facing an election year. There's any number of reasons why sometimes some people opt for being feeling safer about how much they pledge, and that's okay. That's the reality of it. Like I said, I was very, very happy to arrive at a place where we have 3 new pledging units. Folks who had never pledged before, who are making regular gifts, weekly or monthly, as opposed to, we gained about 10 last year that were just like once a year they give $100, they pledge to give $100, that's great. But this year, having garnered a handful of pledgers who are willing to offer regularly their gifts is really great, really, really great. Moving forward with the fundraising events, this Burns Night Supper and Celebration report is not from the one we just had, but it's from 2023, January 2023. And we didn't have any idea what to expect, but certainly following the second year now, which happened just a couple weeks, if not last week, we realized that this is a stronghold for our fundraising approach. It's really a fun night, and it's just and it's another opportunity to give thanks to Christine and her capacity to arrange, organize, get things done, and generate revenue for the church, but also have fun. People enjoy working together. People from outside the community enjoy participating. And I would say that we had someone came in this morning and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Burns Night. How was it? What did you get? About 40 people or something?" I think we had probably about 70 people here, 75 people here. Really great turnout. You can see, I think we made around $3,300 last year, and it's coming in just about the same this year. We're just very happy about that. Mardi Gras, this is an event which has all sorts of challenges against it. It's a great and fun night, but it is strictly associated with religious stuff, so that's not always something that the rest of the community is inspired by. It falls on a Tuesday midweek. It's certainly not for the pancakes. Those are delicious, right? The pancakes are great. But we're going to keep hosting this event. It's still, in terms of numbers, it's not a huge thing, but $400 is not nothing. All right, it's very important to remember to budget our size. $400 makes a big difference. So we're going to keep doing that. This year, you've seen the flyers, you've seen the information. We're having a band come and play. We're pulling together a new team of volunteers to make that a very as fun of an event as it can. I think people should feel like this is something that, again, listen, we're not going to church every Sunday, but we want to go and recognize that Lent is beginning. This is something fun to participate in. and I hope we can draw a crowd, especially with Jack Lucitra playing. Mini Mart, Allison or Christine, we had a great, Mini Mart is just a good thing for us. We generate income, we're out in the community, and it's one of these, it's an event that's fun. Annual Fall Bazaar, I mean, I pulled something together here. It's never enough. You can't write enough about it. So many people are involved in this particular event. I'm looking around at every single person in here is involved in one of these fundraising events. But I wanted to just express some gratitude to Christine and Allison for stepping up to coach, sort of co-coordinate and co-chair the event. I know that people were very grateful for that. And I really just can't say enough. Janet has always done a lot, and she's in here, and we always are grateful for Janet. And she's sort of the helms person on this ship of the bazaar. But I can't not mention the first name, Madeline Rondo. If you would stand up, Madeline. What's happening in the country kitchen with Madeline and the folks who have helped over the years with this is a transition of leadership over time. And what we're seeing in the midst of this transition and leadership over time is a bazaar that is still viable, still great, provides amazing stuff for the community and an opportunity for us to work together. So I'm very grateful for all of that you all do in the country kitchen. Of course, there's White Elephant and raffles. There's so many people are involved in this stuff. But the heart of the Fall Bazaar and the heart of our fundraising activities is in the kitchen. And I think it starts next week with marmalades. So anyway, just thanks to all of you all who were involved with that. Evening and Advent, that's my baby. I hope you all want to participate and take part in this. We moved it to Friday. I think that helped a lot. All these events need to level up or change every year, and that happens by getting people involved. So I hope that you all find ways to participate. I'm looking out at Sean, Joe Hughes, folks who came here, played music with us. The Stroppels are involved. Fred, it's been always, we just, as soon as I jumped in here, I thought, oh, who can read this Frederick Buechner piece with me? And Fred landed on the doorstep. I was very grateful for that. So that's it for our stewardship. Very grateful to make that report. I'd like now to ask Alice or Christine to stand up, if you would, please, and just be recognized as our. Allison is not. I think she might have had to take off. Christine and Allison Trotta are the vestry members who serve as the ministry team leaders for our mission and outreach. Mission and outreach is we've had all sorts of things happening. I say in the report, it's very important to remember this. We don't have a lot of direct outreach through the church. We contribute to mutual concerns by letting them use the space. We contribute to mutual concerns for Thanksgiving meals by collecting donations, Operation Christmas Child, Adopted Family, all these things are in there. But what I do know is that Nosh is another one, but Nosh is a perfect example. We don't directly contribute to Nosh. But what I know is when I look around this room is filled with people who volunteer and participate in outreach in this community. And by doing that, as I wrote in the report, you're living out your faith in the community. You all are St. Luke's outreach. And I'm just very grateful because I arrived at a place for whom outreach and volunteer work was just sort of, it's not just part of the church, it's part of the community and the ethos of this place. So thank you all very, very much for that. Rob Franco and Laura Lee Franco, kudos to them for pulling together the Christmas baskets of the Christmas Child, Thanksgiving baskets, for Jimmy and Deb with Adopted Family. I'm just thinking of so many people that are involved in stuff in this parish and in the wider community. But is there anything else to add, Christine, for mission and ministry? Building use is, of course.
Building use is very important, and talking to people about things that they can hold here and that were available for different things. The more people yourself, and if I didn't have the help, I wouldn't do it. So I really appreciate everybody's help, including Jesse and Meredith.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah. I'm just seeing if anyone send me a note. That is essentially the end of the reports. Are there any questions or comments that people want to make, either to our vestry members, to those who are involved in these ministries? I neglected to give thanks to Carl for helping facilitate the field trip to the cathedral several weeks ago. That was really, I think those are the kind of things that are really fun to do. Susan, did you say?
I just went, oh, I forgot to mention that. That was so interesting. If we ever get to do it again, I really recommend it.
Yeah.
The guy who led the tour was great with the kids, but also he just knew so much about the history of Long Island, of canon of the cathedral, so he really had on.
Thank you, Susan. Any other questions, Beth?
I just want to say, in every ministry, from Ultra Guild to LEMS to acolytes to readers, there's always room for more people. There's always room for someone else at the altar, someone else helping. So if you want to talk about readers, talk to Anne. If you want to talk about acolyting or lemming, grab me. Ultra Guild, talk to Dorothy. We always need more people to help in all those ministries, because at different times people get sick, they're out, this is that, and so if you have any desire once a month or something to help in any of these ministries or a couple times a year, we're always grateful for more help.
Thank you. Brian.
In regards to donations, I don't know if we have set up or could we possibly set up. It's so convenient nowadays to have someone just put their credit card and use it and make a payment on the phone. I don't know who supplies plants, but if I wanted to buy a plant, or maybe for the country kitchen, because I know it's convenient to donate. People donate.
Yeah.
And I would like to do that. I'm thinking about it right now because I forgot that check that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And
this is I think it is part of Dan and I and Nicole's, and certainly the fundraising folks, to try to figure out as seamless a way as possible for us to make it easy for people to give. I'm thinking back to a story at St. Paul's Chapel, the one under the shadow of the World Trade Center there. I knew a lot of kids who were classmates of mine rather who were studying or interning there. And Trinity Wall Street and St. Paul's Chapel decided to install iPad kiosks in discrete places of the church, in the narthex, and you could actually just tap a card if you wanted to make a gift. Well, 50% of the people were like, that is so, there's no class, tasteless. How can we have that in front of the church? How can we have a credit card machine in the church? Well, it turns out, 5 years later, when they realized that making it easier for people to give made it increase revenue, you know what I mean? They're realizing that, wait a second, this is okay.
So you're going to put iPad in the church?
We're getting rid of all the prayer books. We're going to need tablets. We're going to get a microphone system and in-ear listening. The point is that the point I'm making is that making it easy to access the ability to make a gift feels like new technology. Feels sort of doesn't may not fit the church, but it makes perfect sense. So we've already started to talk about that. We try to use Zoom, Venmo. We try to use the Tidely app that we have. None of them are seamless enough, and we're thinking about it, Ryan. I promise you, we really are.
Some people they just have something they can put their credit card right into the phone. And I'm not saying that's the way to go. I'm just saying that's
Yeah. More on that later. What I want to also let you all know is for years now I've said, look out for the new directory, the new paper directory. Well, I'm going to tell you that Nicole and I have been working, it is not an easy thing, and actually I'm grateful to have enlisted Meredith to help me. We're going to work very hard. You all should all know, I've sent one of these to the vestry, our church management system. You can create an account and have a password and access this system so that you can check your own giving and update your own information. And online, you can access the directory. What that also, you have to have a password, you have to have an account, but what it also means is that you can decide in your own account what you want people to be able to see, right? So you can say, I don't want to be on the online thing. Well, that's fine. But you can put in, only your own phone number. So you know what I'm saying? But just remember, this is not public access. It still requires a password to access it. But I've sent that out to the vestry. We sort of tried it through the vestry. You can also get an app on your phone, and I believe that app allows you to make payments online also. So, all this, we approach this stuff a little tentatively because of the digital factor and the scams factor. That's why we're going to make a paper directory also. So, let's get on to the business. Now, in terms of the minutes, we're not making decisions, very many decisions at the annual meeting. Thank you all, Stropos. But we do need to make a note so that we can review the minutes next year to vote our new vestry members in. I'm sorry to say that neither of them are here right now. As I said, one is off seeing a grandchild, and the other one is home with the bug. As I said, yes?
I nominate the slate.
Okay. Second? Yeah, Victoria nominated the slate. Who made the second? Janet. Janet, certainly Janet. All right, we vote by voice here. All in favor of electing the slate to serve on the vestry? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, folks. God bless you all. Let's offer a closing prayer. Most high and glorious God, enlighten the darkness of our hearts. Give us a true faith, a certain hope, and a perfect love. Give us a sense of the divine and knowledge of yourself, that we may do all things in accordance with your will. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. All right, now before we start applauding, this is a perfect opportunity for us to come together as a community and clean the parish. This is what's it's important to remember. On Tuesday, mutual concerns comes. We want to make sure that things hit the drying rack and then are put away. Okay, we want to make sure that the 5 tables can stay out. Those 3 tables need to go away. But basically, we're hitting the reset button for the next group that's going to come in here music. Actually, the next group is at 1 o'clock. And we have a fencing class in here every day, every Sunday at 1 o'clock. So
Remember, divided flowers, $10.
$10 flowers. Flowers are for sale. See you guys. Peace.
Well, I received